Try before we die, everybody. The whiskey review show where we don't know what we're drinking.
Not at all.
But we'll tell you what we're thinking. Hey, Mal, what's going on?
Not much.
Listen, why don't we find out what we're drinking? I'm excited.
Really? Straight into it?
Right into it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to do it.
All right.
All right, here we go. Over 400 bottles of whiskey in this bar, everybody. Let's see what bottle we're going to review today. Bottle 179. That's going to put me on the backside. We'll see everybody over there. Hey, everybody, here on the backside for bottle 179. Well, we know we ended at 148, 58, 68, 78. Plus 1 is 79. And it's a Tullibardine, the Sovereign, a no-age statement release from this Highland Single Malt Scotch Whisky. Coming in at 43% ABV. Fun fact, our paintball teammate Big Red, Tullibardine, his favorite distillery. Now, I'm excited to try this. I think Malcolm will be too. We'll see everybody back at the bar. Hey, Malcolm.
I heard.
What'd you hear?
It's a goodie.
It's a Tullibardine, the Sovereign, a no-age statement from these guys at Tullibardine, matured in bourbon barrels.
Ooh.
Right? Gonna get it poured right away. I think there's a note on the back that might be interesting to us. As always, we open these bottles. Doesn't matter which one we get, we're trying them. Before when?
We die.
Yes. Here we go.
Now, I haven't seen that one in your collection. Have you been stashing that somewhere?
I feel like you bought this for me.
Did I?
Light, fresh, and flowery.
If you say so. Because I would think that was a little bit lively, but whatever. Oh, actually, I think I did get that for you.
That's a nice pour. Not the depth of the pour, but the gurgle.
On a side note, that pour sound reminds me of a feeling I had when we went to Virginia with one of those bottles.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. This is what I wanted to read. From the wide portfolio of bourbon barrels, the youngest of which was 5 years old, this is a lovely balanced whiskey exhibiting barley, pear drops, and creamy chocolate riches, which develop on the palate with a lingering finish. The Tullibardine, the Sovereign. I feel like you and I have actually had this before.
I think we did.
Yeah. Is this the one we called the Pale Rider?
Yes.
Yes. Why do you think we called it the Pale Rider?
Because if you look at the color, it is extremely pale.
Yeah. It is. I feel confident they did not add any, and I think it's E150A, which is the caramel coloration that they can do to sort of artificially deepen a whiskey's color. This looks very much a natural color, just based on how light it is. I just want to see if they note natural color or not. They do say it's a drop of pure Highland gold. Nothing about coloration. So I think you got me that. Why don't you quickly look for a distillery note while that breathes, and I'll do the same in a different book, and we'll just see who gets some information first about Tullibardine.
What always amazes me, so you mentioned chocolate notes and all these stuff that would consider that would be dark, and it amazes me that this could be so light and still have those flavors.
You've got something? Because I've got something.
Yeah, you go ahead. Let me see if I can contradict you.
South of Perth and halfway to Stirling, this is a southerly distillery, but still north of the Highland line. So this is close to perhaps Speyside, or I guess that would put us near the lowlands.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, depending on which side of Scotland it falls on. And so I only have one example in here, and it's the 10-year-old. This is a no-age statement, so I really am not picking up any excellent facts about
Okay, so
Tullibardine.
I will throw some facts at you. In 1488, Tullibardine Brewery brewed the ale for the coronation of King James IV. So they brewed an ale.
Was King James IV, is that the Royal Brackla?
I think it was James, but I don't remember what the number was.
We'll see if we can get it in a TBWD fact.
They've been making whiskies since the late 1700s, but not until 1949 that the present distillery was erected.
Okay. So, on site, been distilling for a long time. Very common. A number of distilleries began as breweries, right? Because that early stage process is identical. And then in 1949, what did you say?
That's when the new distillery was erected.
They put the new distillery in. Okay. Well, it's calling our name.
I will say I'm with Big Red. This is like one of my favorites now, especially after the trip to Virginia.
And that was a Tullibardine.
That was a Tullibardine.
That was the glug, glug, glug,
Yes.
glug pour.
That was the 12, I want to say.
Yeah. So, if I was thinking about coloration, right? They say a drop of pure Highland gold. This is a very light gold. This is
Like a white gold.
almost a platinum.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, it is bordering on, I don't want to say bleach blonde, but it is very light,
It is
everybody.
extremely light.
Very light. I mean, the depth of its darkness is here, and that's just because of the volume. But when it breaks down into the glass,
Yeah, it's like really, really light.
very light.
Compared to what we usually would consider
Right.
a whiskey.
Yeah.
Scotch.
Yeah, we've learned a whole lot about
Very
putting
much so.
aside expectations.
Very much so.
All right, well, why don't we see what it smells like? We know it's at least 5 years in bourbon barrels, and that's the youngest, but they haven't labeled it an age statement. So there could be a 15-year barrel in here, too. It's got a bourbon punch.
Yep, right off the top.
Right off the top.
And quite significant as well.
Calms right down. Spicy.
Yep. Little, like, pear, fruit.
Yeah.
Very pleasant as well.
Yeah, it's very much
Very
calmed down after we released that trapped aroma, which is the idea of the lids, everybody. Trap it off the bat. It calms right down. Punches you with the bourbon, but
Yep.
it calms right down.
But very pleasant.
I feel like I can nose maybe a hint of chocolate if I'm going for that deep sweet. And that might be the candied pear you're picking up on. No, there it is again.
I'm
Oh,
struggling
see,
with
I
the
just got
chocolate.
it again. I
I'm
just got
struggling
it
with the
again.
chocolate.
I just got it again. The Tullibardine, 43% ABV, right? I have that,
I
right?
believe that's what you said.
Yeah, 43 ABV. Minimum is 40. A platinum colored, a very
Yeah.
light gold. Some pear notes. I'm picking up some
Definitely a
faint
bourbon.
chocolate. Clearly a bourbon cask. Punches you right off the bat on the nose. Calms quickly. Well, should we find out what it tastes like? This is widely available, everybody, by the way. This is not a unicorn. This is out there on your on the shelf at your shop.
Well, I could drink that all day.
That is so easy, everybody. And we call it the Pale Rider because of its color, but it just is just so easy. So here's, and I hadn't thought about this before, Mal. I'm looking at my glass. I wonder if a camera is picking that up behind me at all. This is slightly oily.
Yes. The legs are definitely there.
Right, but in the mouth too. Right?
Yes.
There was a little depth, some thickness to it. Very slightly oily, but noticeably so. Not just a smooth whiskey that just passes right over and into your throat, but there was a little substance to this as well.
Especially at the back.
Which again is counterintuitive when we think about how light this is.
Yes, and you can definitely pick up the bourbon. You can feel, you get that little bit of warmth from it. There's definitely that fruit, and now I can sort of taste that chocolate at the back. I can start to taste that chocolate, that flavor.
Yeah, it's
Cocoa,
right. It's slightly bitter chocolate.
slightly better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got like a little bit of heat right here, but nothing that I would ever.
Oh,
I could feel like I have a numbness in the
Yeah.
back of my mouth,
Yeah.
on the top part.
The top part of the back of your mouth.
Is a little bit numb.
Agreed. It is, it's nice. I just want to check their notes one last time.
But that is
Lovely balanced whiskey exhibiting barley, pear drops, and creamy chocolate notes which develop on the palate with a lingering finish. Now, I'm not having this lingering finish in that that classic sense of it's down to here and whew.
agreed.
Right. But it's still there.
I still very much know I have had
Yeah.
2 sips of his drink.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from that little bit of numbness that I have
Yeah.
at the back of my mouth. And I think it has to do with the fact that it's just so pleasant
Yep.
that when you receive it, you just completely coat you. You're just like, oh, okay.
Yep.
And it could be something to do with the fact that it's a little bit warm down here as well.
Well, the fire's going in the bar.
Fire's going.
It's getting to the end of November here in New Hampshire. We've been seeing the teens at night. Even with this lingering finish, I'm actually having to hold myself back from just grabbing and having some more.
It's interesting you say that because I was about to say the same thing. I was like, I could just finish this right now and just be done with it and be like quite happy and help myself to another one.
Right?
Because it really
Right.
is. So we have different. We get different whiskeys. We've tried like
Sure.
multiple ones. We've done high ends. We've done low
Yeah,
ends.
yeah.
Middle of the road. But there's very few that I'm like, this is one. This is a Kempai. This can be done.
Right.
This is one of those ones where I'm like, if we had, and I think the last time we did, I think actually we did Kempai,
Yeah.
was it's so pleasant
Yep.
and it's not pretentious.
Nope.
You get great flavors. You have some warmth. You have this lingering taste. It smells great, and you just enjoy it. You don't have to think about it.
There is this, and I absolutely agree with Mal, and what I want to just sort of follow up his thought was, this is a bang for your buck whiskey, right? This isn't emptying your wallet. This is a daily drinker, right?
Yes.
Folks will say, right? This is a good daily, right? You wouldn't be putting the pinch on your budget. You wouldn't be asking too much of your palate. You could drink and not necessarily have to think about all the notes you're experiencing, just because it is so pleasant. And as you stopped and reflected on the notes, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is really nice. And again, I just want to drink some more of it.
And it's like any time of the year as well.
Yeah, it's because it is warm down here, but it wouldn't be opposed to a cold experience either. You could
Correct.
have this outside. I think we could drink this camping on the side of the river fishing.
Yep.
Right. I think they made a note in my book about Tullibardine being their 10-year-old expression being excellent before dinner. This isn't heavy.
No.
It's got a little oil to it.
Yep.
But this would be a nice before dinner drink too.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to wet the palate.
Because the sweet isn't terribly sweet, so it's not dessert.
No.
Right. The chocolate is slightly bitter. Right. The pear notes are there. This is whetting your appetite for what might be coming next.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I and being a bourbon fan, you'd really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Because the bourbon expression is there from the very beginning.
I'm not holding myself back for
You do
like
whatever
the
you
fifth
have to do.
time.
You do what you need to. But that is really good. Big Red is definitely onto something.
It is, and again, don't be fooled by these no age statement whiskeys, everybody. Right? And again, I see these legs on this glass. That oiliness, which is very mild, but is so present, just adds so much depth to this.
Gives it
this
volume.
pour. Right? Really volume. Good word. It really is nice.
Yeah, no, this is fantastic.
Yeah. The Pale Rider.
Pale Rider.
Yeah. Tullibardine, the Sovereign, 43% ABV. Getting in the Siskel and Ebert world, 2 thumbs up. Well, why don't we see what the crew has for us in terms of a cheers? I'm always nervous what they're going to do to us.
I'm giving up being nervous.
They were laughing earlier when they wrote it.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is around your alley.
Just for me, okay. Alcohol may be man's worst enemy, but the Bible says, love your enemy.
We're going to pay the guy who does this more.
Yeah, if this is my enemy, we're good friends.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it really is enjoyable. I remain impressed by the oiliness of it, by the viscosity, by the fullness of this liquid, in contrast with how light it presents.
It is complete yin and yang.
Right.
You wouldn't think.
You would find
Not
this,
in a
you
thousand
would
years.
look at this, and you would think, oh, this is going to be not watery, but just very light,
Correct.
right? And it actually has so much depth for how light it is. It just enhances how pleasant the flavor is.
I got that more of that spice this time round.
Yeah, it is between the bitter chocolate, the pears, the spiciness, and the oiliness. This is a great drink.
Fantastic.
With a bearded man and a British guy.